Folks, you have downloaded quite an episode this week, I think, of the Retro Gamers, as we just got some interesting news before we hit the record button. Larry here.
And Anthony here.
What's up, Ant?
Oh, I don't know.
Boy,
the usual, the not so usual. I think there's an axe to grind right at the get-go.
Yeah, we're gonna why bury the lead? Let's get right into it. So I woke up before we started talking. I woke up to an interesting post from GameSpot about pre-orders going live for the Super Nintendo Classic. But then, of course, by the time I read it, there was an update saying they were unavailable. Long story short, Walmart, as of midnight this morning, what's today? The 22nd of July is when we're recording.
It was Friday night at 11:30 p.m., July 21st.
Eastern Standard Time?
Eastern Standard Time.
Wow, 11:30. Holy cow. So, right. Yeah, went live. Pre-orders went live on Walmart, which are no longer in stock.
Yeah.
Well, not in stock to begin.
Well, I mean, we knew that was going to be the case. I mean, they were gonna sell out really quickly. My question is, it's like, how do you know? Like, and it's just going to be one of those things where it's going to randomly pop up for pre-order, and you don't know when and how long and whatnot. And now, when you told me about the Walmart one, my cousin started texting me saying the same thing, where he's like, Walmart had the SNES Classic, and I missed it. And I said, yeah, I missed it too. And then while I was talking to him, and before we started recording the show, I'm going through my email from yesterday, because I get a lot of spam and stuff. And I signed up, and I actually was complaining to Larry first, because I signed up for several different notices online to tell me when the SNES Classic is available for pre-order, like Amazon, Target, Walmart, and then different video game sites. And then lo and behold, in my email inbox in my phone is a notice from Walmart.com. Your product is back in stock as of 8:31 p.m. last night, Pacific Standard Time. Telling me that the SNES Classic was available to buy on pre-order. So, of course, I didn't see this because it's a Friday night, and I'm a human being who goes out with friends and does not look at his phone every 5 seconds.
Oh, man.
So I completely missed it, and now I'm really mad.
So, as far as we know, Walmart is the only online store that had any sort of pre-order. Well, in the U.S., because apparently UK was pre-order.
I heard Amazon had one at one point.
Really? Like, I didn't hear that.
Early on, super fast. Well, if you go on, before this Walmart notice, if you went on eBay, you actually saw people already posting sales for the SNES Classic because they had already gotten a pre-order for it, according to them.
Yeah, but how many of that is true? You know what I mean?
Well, you never know. I mean,
it's eBay, so more often than not, I'm going to believe that's a lot of people are just trying to scam. I'm sure there's people who got it, don't get me wrong, or who are getting it, but that's what's going to be the most. I'm really, this time around with the Super Nintendo, I am really not putting any faith in online ordering. We were just talking, I was telling you, I took the day off. I'm going to a physical brick and mortar store, and I'm going to wait online like I did with the Nintendo.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be doing the same exact thing. So
yeah, I'm not putting any faith whatsoever in online. As far as being able to get it, because you're right. If these are going to stop popping up randomly, and when I found out about Walmart, I immediately went online. I signed up for the Walmart notification. I signed up for Best Buy's notification. I had signed up for Amazon's notification for in stock, and now I have to go into my emails, and I feel like I'm going to have to start tweaking the options so I get like a ding or some sort of notification when I get something from Walmart, Best Buy, or Amazon. Target will not even have it on their site.
I need one of those. I need like one of those alerts, and I'm not saying this to be funny because it's a very serious thing. But do you know when? Do you have the Amber Alert thing on your phone?
I don't think you have a choice with the Amber Alert.
Yeah. Well, I actually think if you go into your settings, you can find it. But like,
oh, okay.
Because when that thing goes off, and I actually had one go off, I think 1 or 2 days ago.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, when it goes off, whether your phone's on silent or whatever, it's like it starts blaring. So
does it? Oh man.
Oh yeah, no, it blares, and it just so. I think I got one on Thursday, and of course, whenever I get those things, I'm very. Then all of a sudden, I become hyper aware and paranoid, and I start like looking at all the cars around me while I'm driving to work, and I'm like, okay, I'm like, where? I go, is it near me? It was, because it's a serious thing, and
yes.
and I take that seriously. I was like, but whatever that setup is for that notice, I need that for the SNES Classic on my phone. I need like horns, parade. I need like I need like death metal. I need like the loudest thing imaginable, like blaring off I want my phone to explode in my pocket.
Well, if you have a Samsung, that'll work. So there's an Amber Alert. They have I don't know if they have this out in California. They have like the Silver Alert, which is like lost adults, like elderly adults.
I never heard of that.
Oh,
one.
Out here in New York, yeah, I think it's called a Silver Alert, because I see it on the traffic board sometimes on the roadways.
Wow.
So like some old person with dementia or something gets in a car and takes off, they'll put that out, kind of like an Amber Alert, like be on the lookout for this car with this license plate, which is interesting when you're driving. Then everyone starts looking for license plates on the road. But I'm saying we should get a Purple Alert, because the Super Nintendo's purple, kind of in color. So
or a gray alert, because Nintendo seems to love gray.
That is true. It's a very boring color that they have for their
exactly.
systems.
I mean, I think the GameCube was the only one where they really like went all out. Like it was like all purple.
The N64 had their variations.
True, that is true. But anyway, regardless of that, maybe we can talk to like cities, major cities, of like posting it on those traffic boards. What do you think? Is this important enough? Oh,
totally. Then you'll see everyone either pull over or rear end each other as they go on to try and pre-order.
As they go online to pre-order this thing.
Because I need to get like 3 of them.
You know what?
That's the other. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Need 3?
Well, hold on. But that's the other thing you said. Didn't your cousin say that there was unlimited ordering?
Yeah, my cousin said that people are posting on message boards that there were no limits to the number of pre-orders on Walmart's website, so that people who got through the pre-ordered multiple ones.
I think that's going to change. Like I said, my cousin, when the NES Classic came out, my cousin legitimately ordered it on ToysRUs.com, and then like a day or 2 later got an email saying that her order is automatically canceled because they're not doing online orders for the Nintendo Classic. So hopefully those multiple orders will all be reduced down to 1, as it should.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so, because I mean, and again, it's probably just sour grapes on our part, because we
absolutely.
Yeah, it's total sour grapes, because one, we didn't notice that the pre-sale was going on, and I can't believe I got an email for it and I didn't see it, because I usually check my phone. So I'm pissed about that, and I'm doubly pissed because I still don't own an NES Classic, so I'm extra bitter. And I wonder if I have a better shot at getting this sucker if I just fly to Seattle, which is not far from me, right to Nintendo headquarters, and just wait in line on September 29th right outside their door. I'm like, you know what? I know you have them in there, and I know there are some NES Classics somewhere in a storeroom.
Visa me!
Exactly. Who do I know in Seattle? I know a couple people in Seattle. Maybe I can hire them to do it.
There you go. It's all about knowing people. Yeah, this is going to be quite interesting as we move along. It's going to be a crapshoot.
Yes, it is.
It really is. It's going to be terrible. Oh well.
It's going to be insane. But you know what? I'm getting one.
Oh yeah, no, we're determined to get one. Don't get me wrong.
Yep. The same way I randomly found that mini Famicom in Japan last week.
There you go.
Crazy,
right?
That was crazy random. And shout out to Charlie and Christine and Mary in Pennsylvania, who are no doubt thoroughly enjoying said mini Famicom, as awesome. they did post it online.
Oh, did they? Awesome.
Yeah, they posted it online, and it's always great when when friends are getting their kids into Super Mario to see my friend's daughter. She's sitting in front of the HD TV playing Super Mario Brothers. Kind of awesome.
Oh, totally. When I watch my grandson play. Grandson, whoa.
Grandson.
When I watch, wow. Oh, my mother would only wish. My godson play. Yeah, I get that same that's awesome. He's obsessed with Super Mario Brothers 3.
Has he beaten it yet?
I don't do. I don't
Yes, that
know.
game can be beaten, Larry. I don't know if you have, but
I have, thank you. But I've never beaten I've only beaten the game with Bowser just falling through the floor. You ever beat him with the Fire Flower or anything? Can you?
No, I don't know. Not to my knowledge. I always do the same thing you do. Fall through the floor.
I'll have to try that. No, I think he has, because I remember when we warped to level 8, he's like, we've been here, Dad, we've been here. So I think they've beaten it. I'm sure, but I don't know.
Okay.
So yeah, Super Nintendo. That's what I was going to say. You're probably better off getting it in Japan, because I don't really think there's any exclusive or any game changes between the American and Japanese versions.
No, I heard that there were. I thought there were a couple.
Oh, were there? Oh,
yeah. I thought there were 2 or 3. But sadly, I don't know if I'll be in Japan when this thing comes out. Well, I definitely won't be in Japan when it comes out, as far as I know.
Oh, okay.
I have a trip planned in September, but it's in earlier September.
Gotcha.
I think in Japan it doesn't come out until second week of October. I think it's a little bit later than the US release. So unless I have to go back to Japan in October, I may be out of luck this time for the Super Famicom Classic.
All right. Well, that's...
Won't stop me, though.
No. Won't stop, can't stop.
No.
So that's the Super Nintendo Classic. But I think a game system that's going to have a lot easier time getting our hands on is going to be the newly revealed Atari box.
Yes.
The fresh...
And I'm very excited about this. I'm actually surprised how excited I am, because it's been such a long time since Atari put out a system. I believe, was it the Jaguar that was their last gasp?
Technically the Jaguar CD, I guess, or the Nomad. I forgot which one came out first. Not the Nomad, that was Genesis.
Not the Nomad.
I was thinking of the Lynx, yeah.
You're thinking of the Lynx.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're talking over 20 years without a console from Atari, and they've made very little. They haven't said much about the system yet. Mm-hmm. They've released some images, and it looks, it's a nice throwback to what Atari used to look like.
Absolutely.
So they kind of modernized it a little bit, so it's kind of cool. But the fact that they've announced that it's going to be able to play classic and modern games. Now, they didn't specify what they mean by modern games, but are they gonna? I'm really, really curious now to see if they're getting back into modern gaming in terms of, are they going to develop like Atari exclusive games for this system that that can compete with Nintendo, PS4, Xbox One.
You know what? It's very vague, which is understandable. It's very early with this system. I don't even know if did they ever really release a window date, like a range of when it may get released? I don't remember. I don't think so.
No. All they did was announce that they were working on it. So
I think now that we have official photos of the system, there's no cartridge slot, so I feel like this is going to be all. I don't know if it's going to be Steam powered, but it's going to be all online somehow. Whether it's streaming online or downloadable online, unless there's a hidden compartment that I don't see because I'm looking at the pictures right now from the Atari Box Facebook page. But I think with the new games, I think they're looking to compete. But Atari's also really been about the gameplay. They tried their hands at graphics with the Jaguar, and that just failed absolutely miserably. So
yes, it did.
Hopefully, their foray into new games. But I just they could probably get their hands on exclusives. It'd be interesting what their exclusives would look like. But it's the classic part that I'm really interested in. I feel like that's going to be almost like a virtual like a virtual console type program, I'm guessing, on the system.
We're not 100% sure. That's the whole thing.
It's all up in the air.
All they said was that the Atari Box will contain PC technology. So to your point, I think you're on the right path when you're talking about like Steam, like a Steam engine kind of thing. Yeah. The other few pieces of information that they did release was that it'll have 4 USB ports, I'm assuming, for
4 players probably.
4-player controllers. And 1 HDMI port, obviously, to go to your television, and an SD card slot in the back. Now, see, consider that's where I'm curious about in terms of like the modern games, because because you can definitely sell a modern game on an SD card slot. Anybody who owns a Nintendo Switch right now knows that, because if you look at those games, I mean, those cards are tiny.
Well, not only that, I mean, I'm looking at it. I have a 32 gig card right now, and I've seen 64 gigs. I've seen 128 gigs. So they can put.
They've gone up to 256 now, I think.
And I think soon we may be pushing to terabytes or something. Yeah, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely conceivable that they could put out modern games for the system because of the SD card slot.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is going to be like, how is it going to work? They haven't announced anything in terms of gaming, nothing at all. So it's a wait and see thing. The other important thing, though, that was announced, that everybody needs to know about, is that this is a crowd-funded project.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
So,
okay.
Yep. So this is all going to depend on whether or not they meet their target for their crowdfunding.
What are they using?
So they haven't announced.
Oh, it's not okay.
It's not up yet. It's not up yet. But they have announced it will be crowdfunded. So what they're doing, I think, is they're playing a safe game.
Oh, absolutely.
Where they want to see what the consumer interest is in. How much consumer interest is in the system before they go and make it. I mean, it's smart on their play because they haven't come out with something for so long, and they don't want to invest a ton of money only to have it flop. So this is a perfect way where it's like, hey, I mean, it's their version of pre-ordering, basically. So it's like you're gonna, if you give money to the crowdfunding, you're pre-ordering the system. It's that simple. So I think it's a good play on them, and I really hope it succeeds. However, I honestly don't think they're going to meet any crowdfunding goals unless they give out more information. Like people need to know what kind of games are going to be on it specifically. So
yeah, that's going to come in due time. This is all. They just released a couple of photos of what the system, and I love the way the system looks. I don't know how big or little it is as far as comparison to anything else, but it's got such a sleek design. It's got kind of a hybrid modern throwback look. There's two versions, if I'm looking at this correct. It's going to be like a modern version that's pretty much all black, a red Atari logo with 4 dots on the front indicating the 4 USB ports.
Yep.
But the one I'm sure me and you are going to look to get is the one with the wood grain front. That's very old school. It's got the Atari logo and then 4 lines indicating the 4 USB ports.
I think it'll look really nice stacked on top of my original Atari 2600 and my Atari Flashback.
Absolutely. This thing, they only got photos from this kind of a corner shot and from the front, so I don't know what the back looks like. So, but again, this is all in due time.
And one of the images in the back of the console is it's like this orange color. It looks like.
You have an image of the back of the console?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, you clearly don't do your research, my friend.
I'm looking at the official Facebook page. How's it not on there?
Oh, I don't know. I'm on digitaltrends.com.
Okay,
and they've got an image on the back, so it's got an orange back.
Look at that.
It's got a classic internet hookup. With the regular cable.
HDMI. Ethernet.
No, Ethernet cable. Thank you. God, I haven't used that word in a while.
All I have running in my apartment is Ethernet. I don't think anything's wireless but my phone.
Yep. So it's basically the back of it's got Ethernet, HDMI, and then it's got the 4 USB ports and the SD card slot.
Yeah,
it's also got. It looks like it's got one other slot, maybe for headphones.
No, I think that's the power adapter.
Oh, or the power adapter.
You looking at that circle?
Yep, that would be the power adapter.
And I think that's orange. I think because that's the black with the orange logo. I think the wood grain one that will probably be wood grain. I'm assuming on the back, or maybe just black.
Entirely possible.
Yeah,
we will see. But I agree with you on that. I will say though, for the modern one, I kind of like the orange.
It does pop.
Cool.
It does pop, but that's on the back. I mean, but the orange logo on the front does pop.
I like the orange logo on
the
the front
too.
But to your point, I'm all for the wood grain.
Oh, totally. And that's going to be a higher price tier.
Yeah, they're going to charge an extra $50 because they had to use that little 5-cent piece of wood grain.
All right. Well, first of all, shame on Atari Box Official at Facebook for omitting that picture. But beyond that, so again, very little information about it, but at the same time, a ton of information with the photos. So it's going to be quite interesting. I'm really hoping to get what's the word I'm looking for? I guess a graphical upgrade, if you will, if you play old school games. I mean, obviously not like 16-bit, 32-bit, or even 8-bit, but just kind of like, I don't know, make it run a little bit smoother, a little bit nicer, pop that sound a little bit more. Is this? Please tell me this is real.
And then this is something that I just want to bring up because it's something else that Atari has just announced.
Oh my god!
And they actually announced it at Comic-Con this week.
I was going to say, you sure it's not dated April 1st? Look at
nope.
this.
Nope. This is dated July 20th. So so at Comic-Con, Atari announced that they are creating what they're calling Atari speaker hats, powered by AudioWare technology. So what is an Atari speaker hat, you may ask? It is a baseball cap with speakers in it.
Right, the speakers are right underneath the brim.
Yep. So they're right under the brim. So basically over your eyes.
So the world would just be vibrating in front of you, depending on how loud you're playing your music.
More or less. So they're baseball cap. There are going to be 3 baseball cap styles. They debuted at Comic-Con this week. The picture that we have is of a blue one, and of course it has the Atari logo right there on the cap.
Yeah, it says Atari right on it. Yeah.
Yep. So now it's just a new way to be annoying in public.
Is this? And it looks like there's some sort of tie-in with the new Blade Runner movie.
Yeah, it's something about. So why do I have a feeling we're going to be seeing these in the Blade Runner?
That's what I'm
movie?
saying. Yeah, because one of the hats is a special edition Blade Runner 2049.
Yep. So
now I'm interested how this plays in with the movie. Hat can connect any Bluetooth-enabled device to play music or other audio, initiate or accept phone calls, receive voice commands, and more. Oh, this is absolutely fantastic. This will go.
Wait a minute. Phone calls? So basically, you're going to be walking and doing like a speakerphone phone call, like on the street.
Yeah, it's like when people were using the what were the walkie-talkie phones?
Oh God, yeah. I hated those because they were like CBs. Yeah, they were like CBs. Like,
what were those phones called?
I forgot what they were called, but let's move on. No, what I'm finding funny is like if I'm sitting in my home and my phone rings and it's like, hold on a second, let me put on my hat.
You have to answer. Oh, I know this is a visual, but whatever. Hold on.
Oh boy. So Larry decided to get up and go get a hat and put it on. So yeah, I think he's just mimicking what.
It's like ring, ring, ring,
we just talked about.
It'd be like, hello. You got to tip your hat.
You have to tip your hat. Yes, you have to tip your hat.
Hello,
in order
lady.
To answer the phone.
Like be on the street and like women would be like, "Oh, how cordial!" Like, no, I'm just answering my phone.
Yeah. So just another reason to not get your cell phone out of your pocket between your watch now and your hat.
It's like let me send it to voicemail. Just wave the hat in front of you.
Yeah, just wave the or just throw the hat.
That is awesome.
When you throw the hat across the room, it automatically hangs up. It's like I don't want to talk to that person. Jeez.
Oh, those would go great with my Snapchat sunglasses. That is phenomenal.
That is too funny.
Oh man.
Insane. Absolutely.
Oh, Nextel. That was the phone.
Okay, no. Wait a minute. There was another announcement from Comic-Con. I don't know why I didn't read up on this before.
I guess we're turned into a Comic-Con episode. All right.
There's a little but it's also Atari related.
But you know what's funny? Right before we started recording, we're like, "Oh, Comic-Con's happening." Too bad we can't really talk about it because it's not really retro related.
Right.
Who knew?
But however, there is a company called Media Fusion that's developing a reality game show called Game On, challenging contestants to navigate life-size sets based on classic Atari games in South Africa.
That sounds so dangerous. and probably this is the first. I'm sure this is the first.
I want to play. I want like you know my game show history, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's Nick Arcade.
Yeah. So but for people who I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast or not, and if I have, I've completely forgotten. But I've been on 2 game shows in my time in LA, and I've auditioned for like at least a dozen because I love game shows. I got really close to being on a third one that would have been like a really big one too.
Which one?
Identity on NBC. It was the one where they had 12 people. They had 12 people standing on the stage, and then on the screen there were 12 like job descriptions.
Oh, I
for
think
each
I remember
person,
that.
and you had to judge based on the way that they look what descriptor matched them. And I'm surprised you didn't know about this show because on one episode, The Miz was on the show.
No, that's why I think I kind of remember it because I feel like
But I went in and auditioned for that show because the person who got me on my previous game show, the casting director that got me on the previous game show, was on this game show, Identity. So she emailed me, like one of her team emailed me and said, "Oh, she wants you to come in for this game show. She thinks you'll be great for it." So I'm like, "Oh, awesome." So I went in and I recorded, and then they called me to come back.
Wow.
And I was like, "Oh crap." I go, "They're calling me back. I want to be on the show." But she wanted me to re-record my audition for the executive producers because I guess I had gotten passed, but she wanted me to be more cartoon character-y, like because you got to sell like a lot of energy and everything like that. You can be boring once you're on TV if you want to be, but to sell you need to do that. So like I went in and I sold it up and went nuts and all that stuff, but they didn't pick me. And that show, like the big prize on that show was like $500,000, and I was like, I really wanted to get on that show. So there's a little segue into my game show life. Man. In the meantime, as soon as they have a casting call for Game On, I am there. I am there.
You got to go to South Africa.
But that's for the recording, I would think. I don't know if the auditions would just be in South Africa.
Okay.
But I'm in. I'm in. I want to be on that show.
Phenomenal. All right, be on the
lookout.
lookout.
Who do I have to talk to?
Game On.
I got to find my casting director emails and start reaching out.
It'd be terrible if you ended up having to play like a 00 GoldenEye level.
Yeah. And just a couple of other quick announcements since I have the Comic-Con, or at least Atari's discussion at Comic-Con and whatnot. They also apparently have a few other projects in development, including turning Missile Command or Centipede into a movie or television show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see
I don't know about... I can see Centipede as like a version of Tremors or Eight-Legged Freaks.
Yes. Good call.
One of those like those cult horror comedies.
Yep.
Missile Command, I mean, it's such a basic concept. I think they can make a movie out of that. I don't know if I'd make a TV show out of that one.
If they can make a movie out of Battleship, they can make a movie out of anything.
I knew you were gonna say Battleship. I just had a conversation with my friends last night about how bad that movie was.
Hold on, here's the thing. Called any other name, Battleship would be a good movie. Called anything else, I'm not saying Oscar worthy, but would have been a good movie because the ending was phenomenal. I love the ending of Battleship, but when you name it after the board game, I'm like, all right, that's rough.
I think we've established how bad your taste in movies are.
No, it's fine. Like I'm talking. All right, I didn't explain myself. Like near the end of the movie when they have actual people, sailors, military. Those people were on that ship originally. What the Missouri? No, Missouri sunk. Forgive me. My father's gonna.
I don't remember either. I'm sorry.
Whatever the ship is, it was a diesel ship, and they needed to get it restarted. Those people, they hired actual sailors who worked on that ship when it was in combat. So to see that and to see these guys back on the ship, because me and my dad watched it, that's what I liked about it. And then just the story itself. I don't mind the aliens coming in, and I don't mind all that with Pearl Harbor. So it's a decent movie to watch, but when you watch it and it's based on the board game, which had nothing to do with aliens, that's what took me out of it.
Well, I mean, the board game is so basic anyway. I mean, to me, like that didn't even matter. I just didn't think it was a good movie. But
I thought it was a fun movie. But you're right. These
more tangents.
It's all right. We're allowed. Don't worry. But yeah, I mean, Centipede, and we kind of got that in Pixels. So, like, we can see how it can play
Very
off.
true.
I hated Missile Command as a video game. I still don't like
God.
it.
My dad and I were obsessed with Missile Command. Could not get enough of that game.
Something about it. Yeah, well.
Still, it's one of my... when I go back and play Atari games, that's usually one of the first ones I pick up. Okay. I'll pick up I'll pick up Asteroids and I'll pick up Missile Command. Those are like two of my favorites.
You know, it was funny. The last time I was playing arcade Atari Flashback, actually, I was playing that a game which I hated when I was little and I owned it. The Rubik's Cube one.
Oh, Q*bert! I love Q*bert.
No, not Q*bert. Oh wait, did they call it Q*bert? What did they call it?
The one with the little guy who jumps up and down on the cubes? Yeah, Q*bert.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking Q*bert.
I love Q*bert. I know why you didn't like it. It was the controls.
Oh, yeah, it was miserable.
Because up and down really weren't up and down because you were going in diagonals. It was like you had to know.
No, we're thinking of two different games.
It
was the guy. It was a little guy running, but it wasn't like a 3D. It was just you had to go. Pretty much, you're running around the face of a Rubik's Cube, and you had to every side had to be the same color. But if your guy changed color, and if you try like the guy, whatever color he is, he cannot go onto that color square, which is annoying when you hit the edge of the screen and you can't move because then you realize it's that colored square. But the sound is god awful. They picked some of the worst sound effects for that game.
Oh wow! You know, I never even knew that game existed. I'm just looking it up right now.
Yeah,
it's called Atari Video Cube.
That's what it was. Yes, Atari Video Cube. Oh, I got to play it muted because it is just so annoying with the sound effects. Bad? Sound effects is, but otherwise it's a Rubik's Cube game.
Okay,
kind of.
Good to know. So. That's exactly what it looks like. I'm just looking at it on YouTube.
So Atari, boy, man, Atari's. Who knew they'd be so busy during San Diego Comic-Con 2017?
Well, you know what? They've been lying low, and now it looks like they're ready to come out swinging, which is great.
Yeah, and not only Atari Box, but in just literally a few seconds, we're going to talk about some more Atari because we're going to get some more flashbacks here in a few moments. All right, this Atari-heavy episode is going to continue right along.
Who'd have thunk it?
Yeah, right? It's about time we talk about something maybe other than Nintendo.
I know, we do tend to be Nintendo heavy, and right. I'm kind of lamenting that. We need to give some love to the Segas and the Ataris and the Neo Geos of the world.
And I had a good Genesis collection. It's kind of weird. It's got to go back and reminisce a little bit more.
We've established how much you were a Nintendo purist.
Big time. Yeah. I'll admit. Yeah, totally. But with Atari, so Atari's got the new, when Atari themselves are putting out the Atari box, but At Games is putting out not only an Atari flashback, but a Sega Genesis flashback as well, which we've talked about in the past. But we got some more information like pricing, pre-order date, who knows how their pre-orders will go, and a little more information on it. So let's get right into it. First of all, when we were doing some research about this, I didn't realize At Games is putting out like 7 systems.
Yes, they are. I mean, I would too if I had the rights to all, to the games that they have. So take full advantage of that. And I actually own one At Games handheld system.
Yes, you do. And I know I think I actually got for my father for Christmas an older Atari flashback from At Games. They're a good company. But it's like 4 Atari systems and 3 Genesis systems, and here's how it's going to go. First of all, the pre-order for the Sega Genesis Flashback and the Atari Flashback 8 will be July 28th. So that is whatever day of the week July 28th falls on.
July 28th will
Friday.
It's a Friday.
That is a Friday.
So it'll be this coming Friday, 3 days from today. When our podcast drops.
When the podcast, exactly. So July 20th is a pre-order, which looks like you're going to be able to pre-order at all your regular pre-order places. Target, Best Buy, GameStop, I'm assuming Amazon. I really would like to think that these systems aren't going to be as scarce as Nintendo's are. So hopefully the pre-orders won't be as terrible.
Hopefully.
And if it does...
I would hope they learned from the backlash that Nintendo got for their system. Now, granted, Nintendo's system wound up being, very successful, even though they got that backlash. But, you want to make these available to everybody.
And Nintendo already went out and saying theirs are limited editions. Really no limited edition of these. Plus, there's already been 8 versions of these systems come out in the past anyway. So
yeah, but it looks like they're, well, at least for the Atari ones, I feel like they're upping their game a bit.
Oh, they totally are. Let's start with the Atari ones. So there's going to be 4 Atari flashbacks. 3 flashbacks and a portable. So here's how they're doing with the flashbacks. So you have your standard Atari flashback, which is, where are you? There you are. So the standard Atari flashback, your typical plug and play. So it's not HDMI. I'm assuming it's not HDMI because it's not being advertised. Wired controllers. It will include 105 Atari 2600 games, and these are, we keep saying Atari, let's be specific, 2600, Atari 2600, these flashbacks.
Yes.
But still 105 games on there, and I mean there's some good games.
Yeah, I mean you're talking a lot of the big ones. So
yep.
you've got Adventure on there, you've got Jungle Hunt, Asteroids,
Pitfall, Space Invaders, Centipede, Frogger.
Crystal Castles, which was one of my favorites. I love that game. So you have a good number of and I believe all of these are Atari first party.
I think so. I'm looking through it. I'm not really.
So
seeing...
Kaboom, Centipede, Frogger, Space Invaders. Like all the good ones. Breakout and Super Breakout.
All 3 Sword Quests. I wonder if the contest is still going.
Oh my God, we need to do that. Earth World, Fire World, and Water World.
And Water World was never... Wait a minute. One of them was never released.
Really?
Yeah,
sure
I'm pretty sure about that.
You don't think they would tout that the way that Nintendo is touting the Star Fox 2?
No, because I think everyone's completely forgotten about them.
Really? Interesting.
I could have sworn the competition, you had the first 2 winners, but then the competition fell off because the third game I thought was never released, and the guy who owned the company making Sword Quest just kept the sword or whatever it was.
Oh, no, it was part of a contest consisting of 3 finished games and a planned but never released 4th game.
Oh, a 4th game. So close. Earth, Fire, Wind, and
Air. Air World was the unreleased one.
Dang.
So Waterworld was also a limited release game, which is interesting.
Okay, close enough. All right, so this is your standard one. And also, I want to preface this by saying that all the Ataris and even the Genesis, they come with controllers, but also ports where you can plug in the original controllers.
Yep.
So that's pretty cool.
That's really cool. I want to go back to Sword Quest for a second.
Okay.
Did you know that the winner of the contest, just this piece of information now that I looked it up, but the winner of the contest would have been the one who had to get through the winner of the Air World contest, the one that never happened, would have received a Philosopher's Stone, which was a large piece of white jade encased in an 18-karat gold box encrusted with diamonds, emeralds, citrines, and rubies.
$25,000.
And it was valued at $25,000.
Each one of those prizes was $25,000. The crown, the chalice, the sword.
Yeah, the crown of life, the chalice, and the sword of white gold.
I think the contest is over.
But can you imagine being the person who won those? That would have been so cool.
I think every one of them were sold. I think all of them went on eBay. Or one guy, or the grand prize, I think the guy who owned the company, I think was the grand prize, because they made all of them. But I think the guy who owned the company ended up keeping whatever ones weren't used.
Well, yeah, I think in at least Earthworld was won by Stephen Bell.
Yep.
He won the sword of white gold, and Michael Rideout won the chalice for Fire World, and then Water World.
Terrible movie.
Yeah, absolutely terrible movie. Doesn't say. Oh, the overall contest was canceled at the last minute due to Atari's financial troubles during the video game crash.
Because they spent all their money on those prizes.
Yep. So, the Stephen Bell and Michael Rideout, who won the first 2, they were handed $15,000 each because Atari couldn't afford to do the final competition.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, they got something. All right, cool.
Yeah. So because it got canceled, people got money anyway.
Anyway,
that was like a mini retro spotlight on Sword Quest. Let's circle back to the Flashback. So
that's your standard edition. Then you have the Atari Flashback 8 Gold, and this is all for the 40th anniversary of Atari as well. So
yes,
the Atari Yeah, right? It's getting old. The Atari Flashback
Yes, we are.
Gold. Actually, now that game system has 120 Atari 2600 games with wireless controllers, and this one is HDMI at 720p output.
Yeah, so I mean, it just makes sense, I think, to get this one.
Yeah.
Because you're getting extra game. Of course, we'd have to do the comparison to see what are the extra 15 games,
Yeah, right.
But the fact that it's HD and wireless, that's the reason why I just think naturally the upgrade makes sense.
Totally. And it looks like it's good. Like, they put out a different Atari Flashback. Like I mentioned, I bought one for my father. But the wireless is like a RF. Not an RF.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot what they call it. But like you had to like point it towards the system for it to read. But these, I think, are like true wireless. So you don't have to point them.
Yeah, so exactly. So that'll be great.
Yeah.
To finally have a wireless one, especially because you don't want to sit in front of your TV anymore. It's bad for your eyes.
And who still has the original Atari controllers?
Me.
There you go. And then you have the third one is the Atari Flashback 8 Gold Activision Edition, which has 130 Atari 2600 favorites, and I'm assuming by the name, those extra 10 are probably Activision games.
Yeah, exactly. So the other ones don't have the Activision games that this have. Now, which games are the Activision games? Are my question. Like, I need to go through this.
You would think we'd look this up beforehand.
Well, no, but not only that, it's like looking at the ads that they gave.
It looks like it's the same games.
Yeah, the ads that they gave for the systems, like you would think they would point out what the different games are in them.
Yeah, right.
But they did not. So it's like you literally have to look at the list and compare the list to try and figure out what the different games actually are. And you know what? We don't have time for that.
This one also 720 HD, wireless controllers, but again, you can plug OG controllers into it. So those three are available. They're also
Ice hockey. Ice hockey is one of them.
All right, there you go.
The gold Activision.
Nice. That's worth the extra.
You get ice hockey on that. And you know what? That's all I need to know. I need the Activision edition. Done.
Also, At Games is putting out, which I didn't realize really till now, the Atari Flashback Portable. So It's as it says, a portable system which includes 70 Atari 2600 games, and like the one you have for Genesis, it will have an SD card slot to play other games on it, and a rechargeable battery.
Yes, and you know what's interesting about it? I'm just looking at the games really quickly, and for some odd reason, the portable has Dig Dug, and the rest don't.
Dig Dug's popular, too.
And that's a big game.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So maybe just another reason to get you to buy more than one.
Unless Dig Dug's on the others that have the higher number of games.
The portable edition also has a game called Strip Off that the other ones don't, and I'm really curious about what that is.
I'm in.
Strip Off.
Strip Off. Interesting. So those are the Atari versions. So now let's move over to the Genesis, which is probably going to be the more popular. Genesis has 3 systems coming out. And now the Genesis one, the Genesis, it's kind of like 2 re-releases and then one newer system. So with what I consider re-releases, because all of these, to be honest with you, just let you know, all these the dates are just September 2017 for release. So we're getting there. The first one is and you can now tell me if anything's different with this one, the Genesis Portable Game Player, which this will have 85 Sega Genesis games on top of using an SD card.
Yeah, and the only difference I think between this one and the one that I purchased not too long ago is I think the version I have has 80. So the only difference between them are 5 games, which doesn't make me want to run out and buy it. And the other issue that I have with the portable player is that only about half of the games are actual Sega Genesis games. The other games are games just created for the portable. So like Adventure in the Park, Jewel Master, Hide and Seek. Mm-hmm. These are just generic games that are thrown on here. So I'm not that enamored by this. The only bonus to the portable to me is obviously if you like the 40 actual Genesis games on it, it's great. It also has an SD card slot, so you have the ability to
upgrade
it, so to speak.
Well, upgrade games, yeah.
Yes. So, although I don't know, I mean, you may want to play games like Whack-A-Wolf and Yawning Triceratops.
And that's the issue with the Genesis ones, because you're right. The Atari ones so far seem to be all Atari games, where the Genesis ones, you're right, it's almost like half and half, or like majority of the games are like these homebrews, where the rest of them are actual Genesis games. So,
yeah, but I don't know. I'm kind of excited about playing Meatloaf Rotation.
Starring Meatloaf. Don't be surprised if that actually has Meatloaf in it.
All right.
The singer.
He would do anything for money.
We won't do that. So then we have, so that's the portable, which you can plug. Can you plug your portable into the television?
Yeah, I think there's a slot. I think there's an output for it.
Yeah, I think because these portables do that as well. So then At Games is putting out the Sega Genesis Classic Game Console, which I'm sure a lot of people have already seen. I actually bought one time, but it really didn't work well, so I returned it. This one will have 81 Sega Genesis games. This one's plug and play, so it has your traditional component cables to it. But this one will play majority, not all of them, but majority Genesis cartridges.
Original Genesis cartridges.
Yeah, this is where we start to pick up steam.
Yeah, so no, this makes it a lot better, and like the fact that you can put the cartridge in almost makes up for the fact that, again, only half of the games are actual Genesis games.
Exactly. Because
I'll tell you this much, I have no interest in playing Meatloaf Rotation or a game titled Mr. Balls.
That one may be a Genesis game. Who knows?
or another particular hot game on this list, Plumbing Contest.
There you go. I like that one.
That's
How about Hexaganos?
Well, I'm better with Hexaganos than the concept of Plumbing Contest, where all I'm thinking about is, no, I don't want a game that involves clearing up a toilet.
Game called Hidden Agenda. I wonder what that could be about.
Beats me, but we have many. So, or how about a game called Jack's P? PEA.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Sorry, I felt like I had to. I had to spell that. But again, like,
what are you talking about? There's a crossover game, Arrow Flash.
Yeah, I saw that too, and I'm like, yeah, they named that on purpose. I think At Games at this point with this system, the selling point's going to be, for anybody out there who doesn't have an original Genesis and doesn't want to go out and buy an original Genesis, this is the way to go, because you're going to get 40 solid Genesis games on it, about 40 solid Genesis games. Because I mean, I'm making fun of the games created specifically for this, but I mean, you're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Sonic Spinball, Sonic and Knuckles, Shining Force 2.
There you go. Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat 2 and 3, Phantasy Star 2. So, I mean, it has some the Golden Axe trilogy, which is awesome. I mean, it has some really good, solid games. Notable by its absence is Sonic the Hedgehog 1, which I find strange. But
yeah, right.
Again, it's going to be the fact that it's going to be able to play cartridges will appeal to retro gamers out there.
Well, Sonic the Hedgehog is listed on the top, the thing that we're looking at.
Oh, good. Okay.
So this is, but here's my, I just kind of thought about it. This Genesis console's been on sale. I've bought it for a hot minute and returned it just because it really didn't. I think the one I had may have been defective. But you would think if it was taking cartridges, don't you think this thing would have already taken off by now? Like, you really don't see it.
Well, here's the thing. I think that At Games is taking advantage of of the phenomenon that was the NES Classic. Because,
absolutely.
Yeah, because we've heard about the Atari Flashback, we've heard about the Sega Flashback and all of that. There was never really a focus on like marketing it, advertising it. It was just one of those things, like, to be honest with you, I walked into a store and it was there.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, oh, yeah, I was like, oh, this is cool. And it felt like, they were there for impulse buys because I didn't know they existed before. Now, because the NES Classic was so successful, and now we're getting an SNES Classic, they've licensed the right, they've trademarked N64 Classic, which means we're going to get that eventually. Yeah, right. So now all of a sudden these are becoming hot ticket items. So now At Games is basically just circling back on something they've already done, that they've already invested a lot of money in, and they're trying to take advantage of the hype. And you can't blame them for that, because the opportunity for them to increase sales, especially now if they're just taking product they've already made and just updating basically what's inside it, so they can put it back out. It's like, hey, you're getting 81 Genesis games, and some of them may be different from the previous one that was on shelf. So I just think it's a smart play on their part to take advantage of what's going on with the whole Nintendo hype.
Totally. And then the third version of this Genesis Flashback is, I think, the one we're all going to be looking for. This is the Sega Genesis Flashback that is designed and shaped like the first version Genesis. This one is HDMI 720p output. Again, cartridge games supported, not all, but majority of them. Now, this one will include, already in the system, 85 Genesis, Sega Master System, and Game Gear favorites. Now, again, mixed in that 85 of some of these weird homebrews. But this one, though, you get more than just Genesis.
Yes, you get some Master System love here, for sure. One of the things that jumps out immediately to me is that anybody who's a fan of Alex Kidd, you get 4 Alex Kidd games on this version as opposed to the other console, which only has 1.
Yep.
So 3 of the 4 extra games on here are Alex Kidd, and I don't know what the 4th one is, to be honest with you. I think it may be. I think it's Phantasy Star 3.
Oh, Phantasy Star. I'm looking at Alex Kidd. I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry. So Phantasy Star 3 is the 4th extra game that you're getting.
Okay.
So those are So, and not only that, obviously, the appeal to this one is you can use cartridges, and to your point, it's wireless. Yes. HD and wireless controllers.
These controllers are wireless. The other Genesis is wired controllers, but again, both of them you can use original Genesis controllers if you have them. So
right,
and it's the HD. The HD is a selling point for me.
Yeah, I mean, especially because if you play your classic systems on an HD TV, sometimes there's that lag.
Exactly.
Which also explained when I was playing F-Zero one day to test out my Super Nintendo, and I couldn't understand why. I felt like it wasn't paying. Like I was like, why am I crashing so much? I can't understand why. It's because of the fact that I'm using it on HD TV. So there's a slight enough delay.
It's like a half a millisecond delay
but it's enough to mess you up.
Totally. I've been saying that forever. I've been like when I started playing the Virtual Console games, that lag was in there. That literal half a second. I'm like, why can't I play Super Mario Brothers? Like, I'm not feeling these jumps. That's why you got to put on your television game mode. Exactly, and that fixes that thing. And since then, I've taken off like a rocket.
Nice. So, but so getting back to the Sega Genesis Flashback, this will probably be the hottest item of all of them. The fact, obviously, because it's the HD version, and everybody's going to want the HD version. I'm curious to see how a cartridge will translate into HD, though, through it.
When I had not the HD version, but the regular plug-and-play version of the Genesis, I'm trying to think what game I tried. I think it may have been Bloodlines, Castlevania Bloodlines. And I remember putting it in, and if I remember correctly, now this one being released in September may be a little different, but the one I had, I think, was even mono. It wasn't even stereo, so it was just the yellow wire. Yellow and white wire. But I remember putting the cartridge in, and that's why I returned it. It really didn't play it too well. Now, it could have been Bloodlines, would have been one of those cartridges that just doesn't play properly, which would suck. Yep. But I just remember it wasn't... there was enough to it that made it feel off when I was playing it, and just the sound sounded weird and stuff. Again, that could have been a one-off, could have been just that one unit, but I feel like the HDMI version is going to fix all of that.
I agree. Is there any game on this console specifically that you're looking forward to?
I looked through the list a few times. It's because I've played most of them, but it's like the Sega Master System and the Game Gear games, like Tails Adventure. I'd be interested in playing. Shining in the Darkness, I actually have that on a Virtual Console, but originally I was looking at that one. And of course the Golden Axe series, but looking at this list, I see the Alex Kidd games. I've never really played I didn't even know there were 4 Alex Kidd games. So those I'm going to look forward to playing.
Alex Kidd was their Mario.
Yep.
Before Sonic came along.
Yep. How about you? Anything that you're eyeing? I know you're looking at Plumbing Contest.
Oh man, Plumbing Contest and Mr. Balls. I gotta say, I mean,
Hangman.
Yeah, those are just jumping right out at me. No, I mean, to be honest with you, all of the ones on here that I'm ultimately interested in, Alex Kidd will be fun to play.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you on that because I've never played an Alex Kidd game. So those would be cool to try out. I like the fact that they have the Shining Force series on it, but I also have that on my Sega.
Exactly.
On Xbox 360, they released it on the Sega Flashback disc there. But yeah, I mean, I think the Alex Kidd ones are the only ones that stand out to me.
Okay.
I've never played Phantasy Star, so those would also be something to try.
Neither have I, to be honest with you.
No?
Yeah.
Oh, and Kid Chameleon. I've never finished that game.
I haven't played that one in a while. That's one I got to play as well.
Yes.
So, all right. So these sit now. I'm assuming all 7 of these that we mentioned are going to be in stores September of 2017.
Are you taking a day off for these?
No, because I'm kind of assuming these aren't going to be as bad to get.
Yeah, I might agree with you on that.
And now, I don't know if this is for all 7 of them, so I'm going to assume that the pre-order detail I'm about to give you is for the Sega Genesis HD version, and I'm assuming the 2 HD versions of the Atari Flashback 8. Pre-sale, like we mentioned, July 28th. As I just remembered, we already mentioned. And the pricing, so maybe let me rephrase this. The pricing is probably for the HD versions, $79.99 each. Now, for the Genesis, that doesn't bother me as much because it does take cartridges, and for some reason I feel like that technology should be a little bit more pricey. But for the Atari, I mean, it is 130 games max.
Yeah, but the problem with it is, if you already bought how we bought the Atari Flashback games on 360?
Exactly.
So it's like, is it really worth spending that much money for this when they've existed in so many other iterations? Of course, I say this to a person who's bought Mario, the original Mario, probably on every Nintendo,
just
10
about
times over.
Just about.
but see, I don't feel the same way about the Atari games. Like I know I have them, so I don't want to run out and get them. The Genesis, I'd seriously consider spending the $80 for sure. But again, I'm not 100% sold on it, and maybe it's because you know what it is? It's also it says it's 85 games, but it's really not.
Yeah,
and I feel like I'd actually feel more comfortable. It's strange. I'd feel more comfortable if they just said it's 50 Genesis games without any of those extra things. It's the fact that I see those extra things on there where I'm like, why did you waste space putting those games on there when you could have put more Genesis games on there?
Or just leave them out.
That's what I mean. Just leave them out or put more Genesis games on it. So that just makes me feel weird about it.
I hear you on that one. And you kind of answered what I was about to ask you, like which one you think you're going to buy. I don't think, honestly, and it's nothing against it, I don't think I'll get the Atari one, especially if the Atari box is coming out, and if that's going to play classic.
Yes. Well, and that's the thing, too. I mean, I'm looking forward to the Atari box more and hearing more about that than I am the Atari flashbacks, for sure.
So it sounds like we're going Genesis, but and this coming Friday, the 28th, hoping that the pre-sales won't be as intense as the ones. That reminds me of the Super Nintendo ones. And it was actually, while we were talking, I saw, we posted on the Facebook page, facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast, the story about the Super Nintendo selling out, and someone mentioned that those pre-orders are being canceled. So that's more news to look into maybe for the weeks to come.
Yep. So
be happy. No one may have had it on a pre-order.
Exactly. All right. So moving on to I was going to go into our retro reject for the week. I decided not to do a retro spotlight this week, but we failed to mention another piece of news that came out last night. And thanks to our buddy Josh over at Victims and Villains for sending this piece of information over to us. But apparently there is another classic arcade game animated series on the way. We all talked about Castlevania and how Netflix seems to have a hit on their hands.
Oh, totally.
They've already renewed it for season 2. So it was only a matter of time before another video game adaptation was going to be coming through as an animated series. So yesterday it was announced that a company called Nuttery Entertainment
it's a PG show now.
Yes, PG show. Nuttery Entertainment struck a deal with Bandai Namco Entertainment to develop an animated series based on the arcade game Galaga.
All right, I can see that.
Now, yeah, I can see it, but at the same time, it's one of those things where it's like, of all the video games ever created,
it's
Galaga.
It's probably the easiest one to get the rights to.
Probably. Well, I don't know. I mean, Bandai Namco is a huge company.
That's true.
So,
well,
but I mean, look, I mean,
let's
not judge a book by its cover. I mean,
course.
it could be, it's obviously going to be, I'm guessing, sci-fi, sci-fi space adventure kind of series, and it'll be really interesting to see. The actual name of the series will be Galaga Chronicles.
Ooh, okay. I mean, think about it. We've gotten a Pac-Man cartoon. I mean, who can forget the Saturday morning Pac-Man cartoon? That thing rocked.
Yes.
So you have your Pac-Man, and I would say like Galaga is probably their number 2 game over there at Namco as far as popularity. Every time I see an arcade machine, it's a dual Pac-Man Galaga game. So
I guess you're right about that.
I'm just thinking probably the best way to go with that. But that'd be pretty sweet. I mean, with the success, you're right. With the success of Netflix and just how Castlevania on Netflix and how that series, I mean, just a home run with that. I think you're gonna see this influx of television shows. I just hope Netflix goes back and tries to does the Zelda series that they talk about.
I really hope
for a
they
hot
do
minute.
too, because I think if anybody will do it justice, it'll be Netflix for sure.
Yeah, I don't think they've really had a bomb as far as a television show. So, at least not that I know of.
Well, I mean, they've had a couple, but nothing crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so just getting back to Galaga, it's just a quick announcement because there aren't any other details for it at the moment. But just so we know, Galaga Chronicles is in development. So
check your local listings.
Yeah, be on the lookout for that in a couple of years. So now moving on.
Yeah, we got a reject this week, huh?
Yeah, we got a reject. So when I first started working on what I wanted to cover for this week, normally I go retro spotlight, right?
Yep.
That's our bread and butter for this segment, more or less. Not that we make any bread,
not yet.
But and strangely enough, I also wasn't expecting this entire episode to be so Atari heavy.
Mm-hmm.
But all this Atari news came out, especially like those nice little last minute things that we just found out about from Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So it was funny. I started doing a retro reject on an Atari game.
Oh.
So it was definitely not because we were going to do an Atari centric episode, which we didn't, but it's heavy on Atari. So I decided in my head for some odd reason, mostly because we do a lot of Nintendo. Mm-hmm. So I was I want to spread the love, and I was going to do a retro spotlight on an Atari game because I thought, let me do something positive for a different system.
Okay.
And then that didn't happen because I was moody this morning. So, I go through my moods. I went for a run this morning. I couldn't shake it. Wasn't happy. I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm doing a retro reject because I feel like I want to really nail something to the wall.
So we can
nail something I did.
So we can base how you're feeling during this recording as whether it's a spotlight or a reject.
Well, now we can start doing that. Yes. Because I think I've grumbled my way through several spotlights before. and we've only had one other reject, I think, on our podcast, which was Treasure Quest. Way back when. So, and man, was that a reject?
Oh, that was a rough one.
So this retro reject, I think, this one, I think, this one's definitely more of a. I consider this more of a reject than Treasure Quest because this one will always live in video game infamy.
All right, what do we got?
It was released on the Atari 2600. So I am going to take you guys through, people who are listening, who may or may not know of this specific game, and it'll be a brief reject coverage. I am going to take you through a little game called Custer's Revenge.
Oh, God. Are we allowed to?
Yes, we are.
Whoa. Okay. Oh, I was so close to buying a copy too last year at the expo.
I would have bought it if
I know,
I saw it there.
I had no money left.
How much was it?
It was like $75.
Okay, that's a lot.
I already spent a ton of money anyway.
All right, so Custer's Revenge is our retro reject for this week. So, so Custer's Revenge was developed and published by a company called Mystique. They were very well known for creating adult-themed video games.
We're going to tiptoe this, folks. Don't worry about it. We're going to get through it properly. So
I will get through it as PC or non-PC as I choose. So developed and published by a company called Mystique for the Atari 2600. This specific game was released on September 23rd, 1982.
Oh, really?
Okay.
I thought it was a little later than that. Okay.
Nope, September 23rd, 1982. First thing of note is that it was also developed under 2 other titles, probably at re-releases from a different video game company. Because what happened was, after the video game crash of 1983, Mystique was unable to stay in business, so they closed their doors. They sold all of their intellectual properties to another adult video game company called PlayAround.
There were 2?
Yes. And then PlayAround rebranded the game under different title, 2 different titles. So if you should happen to pick up a copy of Custer's Revenge on 2600, good on you. You can also pick up on Atari 2600 the titles Westward Ho.
I like that title so much more.
Or The White Man Come.
Oh man, that nails it right on the head. Holy cow!
So, for those of you who don't know what this game is about, I'm going to lay it out now based on those titles. Okay, so in the game, the players control the character of Custer. Now, anybody who knows their history knows about Custer's Last Stand. Mm-hmm. Okay, so this game is based loosely, ever so loosely, off of the concept of Custer's Last Stand. Mm-hmm. That's why it's called Custer's Revenge, because as we all know, Custer fell in his last stand against Native Americans. Well, in this game, you get to control Custer and you get to get revenge. Now, how do you get revenge, you ask?
Oh my God.
Custer's basically the job in this game is Custer is on your screen. He is a man wearing nothing but a cavalry hat, boots, and a bandana. And he's also sporting a visible erection. Your job in this game is to dodge all of the arrows that the Native Americans are throwing at you so you can get to the other side of the screen. Standing on the other side of the screen is a naked Native American woman tied to a pole. Once you make your way across the screen dodging the evil arrows that are trying to stop you.
I hate when that happens.
I know, me too. You get to rape the Native American.
Yeah, that's that was a game on the Atari.
That was pretty much the impetus of Custer's Revenge.
Yep,
also known as Westward Ho, also known as The White Man Come.
I love Westward Ho. That is an amazing title.
Now, I think to make it even worse, because I didn't know this, when PlayAround got the rights to the game and they re-released it, they actually made an aesthetic change to one part of the game.
Oh.
Specifically, they darkened the color of the Native American woman's skin tone.
Oh, jeez. Wow. Boy, there were no rules back in the 80s, kids. You see, early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, anything was able to be done pretty much.
Well, see, that what I find actually absolutely humorous about this, and there's very little humor to go around, to be honest with you, is the fact that at this point in time when games like these were coming out, because trust me, this wasn't the only game like this to come out.
Oh, no.
I specifically remember Strip Poker.
What about the one that played like Kaboom? I can't even really... I'm not even allowed to describe it.
Yeah, so there was that one too. But I'm surprised nobody brought this to the government and got us a ratings board back in the 80s. It took like Mortal Kombat and Doom and all that stuff in the 90s to do it. Nobody took... Maybe because the video games... maybe because they crashed and they thought they weren't coming back, that they were like, all right, let's just forget it.
I think, honestly, I think it was because Mortal Kombat was advertised. Mortal Kombat was available for sale to everyone. These games, like, they had, like, sometimes it was sold in, like, these blank booklets, or, like, sometimes even in adult stores and stuff like that. Sometimes, not 100% of the time. So I don't think they were out on the mass market as much where people would start flipping out, but also at the same time, it was the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, all good points. So now getting back to Custer's Revenge, because I'm not done yet.
Westward Ho.
Definitely not. So when PlayAround got the rights to it, they also made a different version of Custer's Revenge called General Retreat. Now, in General Retreat, they reversed the roles. So now the woman has to overcome various obstacles, and then she gets to rape Custer.
That's why, because there's no ratings board, because they flipped the script, and everything was okay, apparently.
However, for some odd reason...
Did they darken Custer?
No. Oh. Instead of shooting arrows at the Native American woman, because they had reversed it, and, Native Americans were the ones who shot arrows.
Oh.
Instead of arrows, they had cannonballs firing at her.
You say this is loosely based on history. I think it sounds pretty much spot on. I don't know.
Well, you know what? I don't want to go there. So.
Oh my God!
Right? I mean, are we going out on a limb and saying this could be the most historically accurate video game ever made?
I'm gonna say no, but
no.
That's some wild stuff.
So big surprise to everybody. Custer's Revenge was very notorious, obviously because of its content. So when they sold this game, it was sold in a sealed package, labeled, very clearly labeled, not for sale to minors. Because again, this was an adult-based game. There were no ratings board, however. Mystique was trying to do their due diligence to make sure minors weren't getting the game. Mm-hmm. And it sold for $49.95.
Oh, wow. Okay. Regular price.
And they acknowledged that there was a chance kids would see the game. So in the actual game description, like in the booklet or whatever, somewhere in the description when you bought the game, it states, if the kids catch you and should ask, tell them Custer and the maiden are just dancing.
That's what I thought up until this very segment. Zookeeper, the monkeys are killing each other. They're having sex. Oh.
Yeah, basically. So mom and dad, if little Johnny and little Jane happen to catch you playing this game, remember, Custer and the maiden are just dancing.
Ladies and gentlemen, Westward Ho.
Westward Ho. The white man come. So naturally, a lot of people came out and spoke against this game. A lot of women's rights groups criticized the game, obviously, because it was simulating rape.
And hold on, let me, because I said really, like, I'm shocked, but I want to cover my tracks, only because I didn't think
Please,
like a lot
sarcastic,
of that.
really.
No. It was like, I just, back then, I didn't think there were as many of these activist groups like there are today. I honestly didn't think there were any that would come out. So that's interesting. I didn't realize that.
They had women's rights groups coming out. Specifically, there was a group called Women Against Pornography.
Okay.
That came out against it. There were Native American spokespersons that came out against it. Yep. And this might be the first time we actually had the government, or a government, get involved in a video game issue, because activists pressured legislators, or they tried to pressure legislators to outlaw the game, and Oklahoma City actually did.
Wow.
So Oklahoma City was the first city, I think, to possibly ban it.
Interesting. Okay.
Yep. A number of industries also actually pursued an $11 million lawsuit against Suffolk County, New York.
Whoa, all right.
Yep. Because of a resolution authorizing the county executive to take action to halt sales and distribution of the game.
I mean, okay. I mean, look.
Basically, you don't, they had every right to sell the game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Came down to. So, and also, just so you know, part of the other, besides the content of the game that women's rights groups were criticizing, the back of the packaging stated in the description of the game, She's not about to take it lying down, by George. Help is on the way. By God, he's coming.
We're going to get kicked off of iHeartRadio.
But this is what the actual...
No, I know. Yes, it does. It did. There's nothing wrong with any of what you just said.
So basically, and here's the grand irony of all of this.
Okay.
You know how they say any news is good news, more or less,
yep,
or like any type of exposure. Okay, so the focused media attention of this game caused it to sell approximately. Now I've got two conflicting reports on this one. Okay. I've got 80,000 copies or 800,000 copies, depending on my research with.
Boy,
that's a big difference.
Yeah, that is. Holy cow!
For the sake of arguments, I'm going to go with 80,000. I don't want to think that 800,000 copies of this game sold. Because that means it honestly probably that means it sold more than like Mario Brothers, Pac-Man, and a bunch of other Atari games. So I'm not going to go there. So we're going to say 80,000 games sold, which was twice as many copies as Mystique's other adult games, Bachelor Party, and Beat 'em and Eat 'em.
That's the Kaboom one.
There you go. So thanks to all of the media attention on this one, it became very, very popular. Even though Atari received a lot of complaints about it, which prompted then president of Mystique, Stuart Keston, to come out with a statement and say, our object is not to arouse, our object is to entertain. When people play our games, we want them smiling, we want them laughing.
Okay.
Sure. I could believe that. So eventually, the game was withdrawn from circulation.
Ah, okay. Now
Fair
only
enough.
to be found at expos and trade fairs.
And now that we're talking about this game 35 years later, right? Wow. It'll be this game turns 35 in September.
Is it getting a special release?
Well, is it getting?
No pun intended.
Is it coming out on the Atari Flashback?
Oh, there we go. Let's put that on the Atari box. Hey-o!
Yes. Custer's Revenge, please. The game did receive several accolades.
from AVN?
So, PC Magazine has decreed it one of the worst games ever.
Ah, okay.
Games.net listed it 5th in the top 10 disturbingly sexual game characters for Custer.
Mm-hmm.
How do you say this? Machinima or Machinima?
Machinima. That's how I say it.
Machinima.com placed it 8th for the top perverts in gaming. And UGO.com had it 10th on its list of most racist video games in history. And they also gave General Custer the title of most unsexy video game character. And last but not least, on an episode of South Park in season 15 called You're Getting Old, there is an arcade machine for Custer's Revenge in the background.
Really?
During Randy's musical performance at the bowling alley.
That's awesome.
So if you want to see that, please go to season 15 of South Park. The episode is called You're Getting Old.
Writing that down.
Awesome. And that is our retro reject, Custer's Revenge.
And this week in gaming! What do we got, bro?
Oof, all right. Well, there's our new lead-in. Thanks, Josh, from Victims and Villains, for
Thank you, Josh. Wow.
Hitting us with that last week.
That note he hits, I think, makes my ear bleed just a little bit.
Shocked he was able to get that high. Good God.
That's awesome.
But,
Maybe, you know what? I'm gonna have to have like a squealing match with him one day to see if we can get higher. Because as deep as my voice may sound or may not sound, I don't know because I don't listen to my sound. As deep as my voice may sound, I can get up a few octaves. So.
Please do that again.
We'll do it this week in gaming. Thank you, Josh, for that. That's just awesome and makes our segment really memorable.
And now you're a permanent part of the show.
Yes, forever. And this week in gaming. So we're gonna go all the way back and start in 1978 this week.
Whoa! All right.
1978 on the Commodore PET.
I think we've mentioned this once before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very, very early Commodore system. or was it gaming system or actual? Well, it was a gaming
Probably a
system,
computer,
regardless. But on the Commodore PET, we got Star Trek.
Oh, all right. 72, did you say?
17.
Wait, what
I don't
version?
know if it's, version 17 of the Commodore PET or version 17 of the game. I'm going to guess it's the Commodore.
Wow.
But-
Okay.
Star Trek. And I don't know, I remember when we were talking about the Microvision,
Mm-hmm.
that the Microvision Star Trek was the first ever licensed handheld game. Now, I wonder what the first licensed console game was.
72. Well, console. I think that there were Star Trek games on Atari.
Yeah, so, no, I'm wondering, though, if this Star Trek was, like the first one.
Gotta be in 72. I mean, the show came out in the 60s.
No,
so.
78. 78.
Oh. Well, still.
So, it's entirely possible. But anyway, 1978 this week, we got Star Trek. I'm going to jump 6 whole years to 1984. Yep. 1984 on DOS. We got The Wizard's Castle.
Okay.
There's always a lot of like magic fantasy based games back then.
Yeah, right? I think there was that. Yeah, I can see that.
There was also a lot of text based adventures, if you remember.
I think they had to.
Yep. We're going to jump one more year to 1985 on the Famicom in Japan, Stack Up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I don't know if you remember that game.
I do. I remember that with Rob.
Yeah, that's one of those really tough games to find, too.
Oh, yeah. It's
on the
ridiculous.
NES. I think last time I was at an expo, I saw somebody selling a sealed version of it. Yeah, for $550.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember you sending me that photo. Yeah.
Remember? Yep, sent you the photo. This is an interesting one. 1987 on the Famicom in Japan. Cleopatra no Maho.
No, Maho. Okay.
No idea.
Yeah, no.
But,
no.
came out 30 years ago.
There you
Happy
go.
30th anniversary, Cleopatra no Maho.
There you go.
1988, also Famicom in Japan. We got Princess Tomato in the Salad Kingdom. Do you remember that?
I do remember that.
I remember the art. I remember the artwork on the cover because it was just so weird.
It was very odd, and I think Princess Tomato made her comeback in the Sonic for Hire series.
Did she?
I think she was in that. Yes.
Oh, I need to find that game just to see Princess Tomato. All right. We're going to move on to 1989 in Japan on the Sharp X68000.
Yes, sweet.
We have a game, and now this one scared me a little bit. A game called Genocide.
Ooh, interesting.
I don't know how I feel about that one.
Yeah, how's that one work? All right.
I didn't. I did enough uncomfortable research on Custer's Revenge. I didn't want to do any more by going into Genocide. So
I got you on that one.
That aside. We're going to jump to 1990. In Japan, there were some notable ones in Japan, but I want to point out one specific. Okay. On the Famicom and on the Game Boy, they released the ever popular and very famous Dr. Mario series.
Oh, classic.
Dr. Mario began.
Absolute classic. Yep.
In 1990, way back when. So now we're going to go to 1991, and this is another one that I'm very curious about just the title of it. In Japan on the Sharp X68000.
Oh, we got two of them. Holy cow.
A double Sharp's X68000. 1981. Jesus 2.
He has returned.
You know, I don't know what to say about this game. It was some type of racing game, I think. It's a sci-fi racing game called Jesus 2. I don't know. I don't know.
I have to find that.
Please do. It's
what the only thing I can think of is Noah's Ark. That's the only mode of transportation I can think of besides him running on water.
Yeah, well, that's why I'm saying I honestly don't think this was specifically a
maybe it's
a
Jesus
religious
too.
game at all.
Oh, okay.
But they just decided to call it, Jesus 2. So anyway, moving on. 1992 in Japan on the arcade. Okay. In the arcade, we got World Heroes.
World Heroes? Yep.
That was a good one. And then for 1993, and for those of you following along, for This Week in Gaming, this particular week, we're trying to do one game per year. because as fun as it is rattling off a list of 1 million games, we think kind of pinpointing one or two. I'm making an exception just for 1993 because for some odd reason Japan went nuts, and there were quite a few I want to point out, which were 1993 on the Sharp X68000 again.
Wow!
In Japan, we got a Castlevania Chronicles.
Wait, what year? 93?
1993.
I wonder if that's anything like Castlevania Chronicles that we got here on PlayStation.
Probably.
Which was, I mean, all it was the first Castlevania, kind of like the original version, and then like a souped up graphics version. But now I think, all right, I'm going to check something out while
I think it's different.
I mean, it's got to be. I can't imagine 93, because that Castlevania Chronicles came out like late 90s, if not early 2000s. Yeah,
exactly. So, it's probably way different. But it looks really cool.
Yeah, it does.
So, like, if you go up and you look at, it looks like looks 16-bit to me.
You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. That looks
it?
like the PlayStation version. I'm going to check that out right now.
Well, there you go.
As you move right along.
As I move along to on our years, I'm going to stick in 1993 for a little bit longer.
Okay.
Only because there's one that you want to know about. Super Nintendo in Japan got the WWF Royal Rumble.
Ooh, nice.
And they also got Super Back to the Future 2, based off the film.
Really? Super Back to the Future 2. I know there was a Back to the Future 2 game over in Japan that was so much better than ours.
Yeah, there was one on the NES too, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And when I was in Japan, not 2 trips ago, my last trip to Super Potato, the new Super Potato that I found at the time, I saw this game there, and it was like, I think $70 or $80.
Wow, really?
Because I wanted it, because I saw it and I said, "Oh," I was like, "This is cool." I've never seen this one before, because I mean, I'm one of the very few people that will go back and play the NES Back to the Future, because it's a terrible game.
Oh, horrible!
It's a terrible, terrible game. But for some odd reason, I can't stop going back and playing it. It's one of those games.
It's what you do. You know what I mean? It's what we all do. And I even have I bought from. I'm going to give a quick free plug. Check out the Pixel Art Shop. Kyle McCoy, great guy. He does a lot of these pixel art things with these perler beads, which I bought a few things from. And one of which he made like a shadow box with Back to the Future. It's the cart, it's an NES controller, and then he did out of the perler beads the DeLorean, Doc and Marty.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, it's sweet.
Well, if you get it, for anybody listening, and for you, Larry, I just sent you a link, but look at the screenshots or the video from Super Back to the Future 2. You're basically playing on hoverboard levels.
Oh, that's the one I was thinking of.
Yes. You're fun. And the graphics look really good, too. So that may be my next purchase when I go to Japan.
I completely forgot about that freaking game. Yeah,
so
that's a good one to pick up.
Yes. All right, I'm going to move on to 1994.
Oh, real quick before you move on, and I can't believe I'm just discovering this now. So Castlevania Chronicles on PlayStation is a port of that Castlevania Chronicles you just talked about. So I've owned a port of a game that's been on the Sharp X68000.
We're getting closer.
And I didn't even know about it. I probably read it and thought to myself, I don't know what this system is, and just whatever.
Yep.
So that
we are getting closer.
Guess who's playing that game today? All right, moving on.
Moving on to 1994, and I'm country jumping.
Oh.
1994 in Sweden.
Ooh.
They got Super Metroid on the SNES.
Nice, good stuff.
Great game. Which I now own on my Super Famicom.
There you go.
1995. There's one I really want to point out, but I'm going to stick to the arcade version in Japan of King of the Fighters, 1995.
Oh, fantastic. Love that. That's a great fighter. It's like a wrestling game, but with just monsters.
Yep. Moving on to 1996. What?
No, it's not. What am
King
I
of the
thinking
Monsters?
Of? Oh, King of the Monsters. I'm thinking of...
You're thinking King of the Monsters, not the King of the Fighters.
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah, you're a little... You'd be a little confused. King of the Fighters were actual, like... It was kind of like a Street Fighter-ish kind of game.
Still a great game. Don't get me wrong. Still a great game.
Great game. And it also had a very large... it had a lot of characters you could choose from.
Oh, totally. Oh, yeah. It was wild.
Yeah, I think it had... It had somewhere around like 25 characters, which was big back then.
Yep.
Okay, onward and forward we go. To 1996 on the PC 98 in Japan. We got a game called Panic Dolls.
Creepy.
The minute that I saw that, I was like, I go, what is that? And then I found out it's anime related.
Point to the doll.
And not only is it anime related, but it is, I guess this is a theme for this show. It is adult oriented anime related because if you look at some of the superheroines, they be naked.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what anime is not really almost adult oriented and print? I'm sorry. Going forward.
Please wait for us to finish recording. In 1997, on the Sega Saturn in Japan, Resident Evil.
Oh, nice.
Yep. 1998. I'm breaking my rule again. I want to name.
So much for changing it up.
Okay. Well, no, I'm trying. I'm doing my best.
You're doing fine. I'm not complaining.
First part of addiction, you got to wean your way off.
Oh boy, you're telling me. Yep. Start getting the shakes there.
Yep. So 1998 on the PlayStation in the U.S., we got WWF Warzone, which was the first.
That was a good one. That was the first one, also with like full motion video.
Yep, and it was the precursor to Attitude, which had like 60 wrestlers in it, which was awesome.
Yep.
But the other game I wanted to point out in Japan on PlayStation was Kagero Deception 2, which was the sequel to Tecmo's Deception.
Aren't you missing one of them?
No, I have them all.
Oh, you do have them all now. Okay, I thought you were missing one.
I have them all right now, but there's a new one on the way.
Yes, that's right.
So, and I really need to like pick one of them up and actually like stream that.
Yeah, man.
Just to show you guys what kind of game it is. And I'm not gonna lie. You're probably not going to enjoy it as much as I do. For some odd reason, I enjoy the game more for the concept than the actual gameplay. And it's also first-person perspective, so it broke my first-person rule.
That's always.
They give me headaches. But somehow I managed on that one. 1999 on the N64 in the U.S. Mario Golf.
Okay. Yep.
Mario loves to play golf. He's been playing golf for years.
That was if I remember correctly, that was one of the first games where you actually were able to like incorporate, I think, your stats from a golf game on the Game Boy and load it into the N64 game. Yeah.
Yep. Moving on to 2000 in the United States on the Atari 2600.
Oh, here we go.
We got Sea Battle.
Oh, okay. Homebrew
and Sword Fight. There were two, but. It's just one of those things. 2001 on the Dreamcast in the U.S., Soldier of Fortune, which was a very popular series.
Yes, I do remember that, yeah.
Yep.
God, I missed a Dreamcast.
I still love going back and playing it. I don't even have a lot of games for it, but all the games I have were so good.
It was a small collection, but you're right. Every one of them was a gem, at least the ones that we owned.
And I still haven't bought Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which to me on Dreamcast was the definitive one.
That's the one, yep.
All right, moving on to 2002. In the United States on the Atari 5200.
Soon on the Atari box.
Yep. Haunted House 2 3D.
Ooh, fancy.
Yeah. It's one of those whatchamacallits. It was probably a Virtual Boy reject.
Oh!
That played just as well on an Atari 5200.
It took a while, or an hour and a half into the show, we finally got to it. All right.
Yeah, it takes me some time. And that wasn't even that good of a stab. So, let's see if I can find a better one. 2003 on the Xbox and the PlayStation 2 in the United... I'm sorry, not on those. I'm sorry. On the GameCube in the United States, the much reviled Aquaman Battle for Atlantis.
Oof.
One of the worst, if not the worst, DC game ever created.
I get skeeved out thinking about it so bad.
That game was painful.
Yeah.
Painful to play. Jumping to 2004 on the N-Gage.
Oh, the taco phone.
Yes. We got Crash Nitro Kart.
Oh, okay. I remember. Yeah. Don't ask me. I was so close of getting an N-Gage when it first came out, but like back then, like cell phones were ridiculously expensive, and especially if you bought off contract. Oh man, so close.
Yes. And now we're going to move on to something really interesting in 2005. There was a browser version released of this game. So a web browser version. The Legend of Zelda and the Lampshade of No Real Significance.
I'm just going to stop it right there. That is the greatest subtitle for any Zelda game that has ever been released.
And you know what? I don't know if it's definitely not an official Nintendo game, but I'm telling you, I had to post it because if you look at screenshots for this game, there's a Lampshade Guardian, which is an invincible sewer demon.
And he's plugged into a power strip.
Yeah, and then you pull the power strip plug and he dies. And then you get the mystical lampshade.
Oh, you know this site's already taken down by now, but good God, I want to play this.
And if you keep going through the game, you know, there's a PC World building, there's a McDonald's.
Look at this! Oh, man. That is fantastic. Look at inside the McDonald's. There's Samus.
There's Samus from Metroid eating some fries.
Oh.
So for anyone out there who doesn't know this game exists, and I didn't know this game existed until I did This Week in Gaming, everyone go check out The Legend of Zelda and the Lampshade of No Real Significance. And if you can find a copy to download, please do so and play. Because I am going to.
Oh, that is amazing.
You pick up items like girly hair care products.
Yep. This is phenomenal.
Yep.
Okay.
So I definitely need that game.
Yes.
Came out in 2005.
All right.
And I would love to end on that because that is just awesome. But I'm going to stop in 2006 only because on the Nintendo DS in Japan, they released something really cool I don't think they released in the States, and you can tell me if they did or not.
Right.
But on the Nintendo DS in 2006, they released the Game & Watch collection. So all the old Game & Watch games were released on the DS.
You know what?
That's really cool.
It is very cool. I think theirs is better than what we got. What happened was it started actually on Game Boy Color. They started releasing Game & Watch on Game Boy, but like it'd be like 4, maybe 6 games on one cartridge. And then eventually went to DS, but it wasn't like a massive collection of all of them.
Okay.
So there've been some. Actually, there was even a couple that you were only able to get through. Oh, I wonder if those are kind of worth money now. Get through like the My Nintendo website, like for redeeming points and stuff. But no, I think Japan, like you said, had like all of them on one cart,
which is awesome.
Yeah, I love Oil. Oil Panic is my favorite.
It only had 3 games.
Oh, never mind then.
It had Oil Panic, Donkey Kong, and Greenhouse.
You know what? I'm starting to
Might be the
wonder
same.
if that's the same one as one of the Nintendo exclusive ones.
But regardless of that,
Oil Panic is my favorite.
We're gonna end our This Week in Gaming on the Game & Watch collection, which was a nice throwback. I had no idea they re-released those, which is really cool.
Oh yeah,
because whenever I go to Japan, whenever I go to Super Potato, and I see those Game & Watch, the original Game & Watches sitting there, I want them so badly, and they're so expensive.
They definitely can be.
And that's This Week in Gaming.
There we go. This was a heck of an episode this week. Good stuff on This Week in Gaming. Good stuff with the reject, and we'll just leave that there.
I'll leave it there. Westwood Ho.
Yes, that's the title I'm going with.
That's what I exclaimed when I moved to Los Angeles the first time.
And Atari, this was a good Atari episode. Be on the lookout for all those pre-orders, and I guess keep your eye out for a Super Nintendo pre-order. But more news for that to come.
And if anybody does manage to get a pre-order on Super Nintendo that sticks, hit us up on our Facebook page, message us or post it on our Facebook page. We would love to hear about it.
And want to know so we can do it ourselves.
Exactly.
So Facebook.com/RetroGamersPodcast, on Instagram @the_RetroGamers, and of course our website, TheRetroGamers.com. And you got anything happening?
No, I'm just trying to survive.
Sounds good to me. Same here.
You know?
So here's to another week. Remember, follow us everywhere. iTunes, Spreaker, YouTube, iHeartRadio. Subscribe everywhere. Share it. Me and Ant, we're starting to pick up these live streams. I mean, this month with Castlevania was great. We didn't even mention it in depth, but we'll talk real fast. Castlevania 3, you played it, which was your first time.
It was my first time, and to be perfectly honest with you, I was actually rather proud of how far I got, considering I've never played it before.
That board, the clock tower, the gears and everything is a hump. Yes. Trust me, but you definitely did awesome.
I'm happy I got that far, and to be honest with you, like I'll probably go back and stream the rest, like just going through the rest of the game.
Totally,
because I want to finish it.
No, it was great.
I don't know how to not finish a game. And 3 weeks from now, right? Are we 3 weeks away from the expo?
Yeah, 12th, right? August 12th, August 13th, out there in Garden City, New York, on Long Island. The Long Island Retro.
I've got my plane tickets.
Sweet. Long Island Retro Video Game Expo at the Cradle of Aviation Museum. Get your tickets. Check out liretro.com.
And we'll be going live from there, and we'll have some special guests with us too, which are basically our friends.
We'll be there Saturday the 12th. We don't know what time we're going to be streaming, but we'll be live streaming anyway, just as we're walking around. We will do a live podcast, like Anthony mentioned, and we're going to have a lot of our friends there, hopefully, and we'll see whoever else we can just drag who's walking past us who wants to be on the show. So be on the lookout for that. That's going to be awesome. Remember, they got cosplay contests. They got those tournaments going on. They got like a retro tournament or something that I got to look into a little bit more. We'll talk about next week.
I can't wait to play.
So all that, a lot's happening. A lot's picking up steam here for the retro gamers. And with that, we'll call it a week. And I'll catch you next week.
I'll talk to you next week, my friend.
You got it. Everyone, have a good one.
BB sucks.